Today we're joined by Dartago Liswaniso, who's a legal advisor at the University of Namibia. Namibia is a country that we have featured before. We've talked a lot about its reliance on natural resources and how that economy is likely to grow with the oil find off the coast and its increasing importance in the diamond trade as well. But there's more to it than that. There's a growing legal industry, there's a growing banking industry, there's obviously a massively growing project finance and infrastructure sector as well. This country is moving away from what is a relatively dark past. If any of you care to Google on YouTube some of the things that happened to Namibia and Namibians in the turn of the century, you can find a lot about the history of it. But as a country, it's progressing quickly, it's growing quickly. It borders Botswana, Angola and South Africa. It's really well located. It's a great place for a holiday. Tourism is huge for it. But talking to Dartago will be an interesting insight into how the economy is growing and how that's going to affect everyday Namibians.
Well, right now in Namibia, there's quite a number of developments. We are experiencing a recession, but some business areas are picking up. You have mining, you have the Chinese, they've come in there. You have fishing, and then you have the oil exploration that is currently taking place, oil and gas, and also you have the alternative, which is renewable energy. We're busy with the concept green hydrogen that is also taken up. So the business climate is okay, and we do have the bodies that can deal with business registration quicker, as well as bodies that can facilitate investors that may want to come in and invest in Namibia. Well, the legal market, if you look at it, is one of the markets where there's high barriers to entry. And I had an opportunity to work for the Competition Commission, where we looked at some of these areas. Some of the rules we maintained them, some of the rules we cannot maintain them. So in terms of practice, there is an element of mushrooming law firms that you can see. It could be that some of the barriers to entry have been lowered, so people are now establishing themselves. And for the corporate world, it's a very competitive world. Namibia is a small population, so there's not many companies that you have. So from that aspect, there is job opportunities because you are now more than just a legal advisor. You need to have versatility in terms of, you look at other areas such as audit, compliance. So the growth in that specific area is also that it's notable. It's just that you need to equip yourself with the skills to be competitive and to be able to access, either the private sector or the corporate world. We are looking at the foreign investment is really pouring in, despite the fact that the rest of the world might be in a recession. And you have to understand the dynamics of East-West, where that relationship is not so good as fragmentation. So they are looking for alternatives. And right now, in terms of Namibia being in Africa, it's more, I would say, the scramble for Africa. Everybody is looking to Africa as an alternative because of the geopolitical situation that you have in the world. So as a result, there's a lot of, especially legal, you have a lot of, foreign firms that are now merging with, local firms, so that they equip the local firms to have the skills required, as well as to access the market in terms of the businesses that are investing here. Some of the clients, they come with their own, lawyers from different countries. So there needs to be that link, locally, that creates this platform to connect those businesses. You see a lot of good firms that have, merged with foreign firms to sort of create this environment. Well, the legal market, in terms of the time that I did my articles, we were quite few, but over the years there's been a number of people that have entered the market, vastly. So that in itself has now created competition, and it has also allowed other institutions to have, especially in-house lawyers, because now you would have jobs such as being a magistrate prosecutor would have been for people that generally have your BURIS or your LLB. But because of that competition that is there, the dynamics are changing in that you find people that are admitted occupying those jobs as well, because the market, the competition is high. That brings quality to the areas that you are entering. So in terms of growth, there is a market. We are quite a big country, so when you look at growth, it's either private or it's either corporate. And in terms of the corporate, job provision, there's only two players in there. It's either government or the corporate world, because the general average Namibian may struggle to afford legal services. So those will be your target, clients or markets that you look at as a lawyer. In terms of the legal aspect, we do have, the right bodies to facilitate and regulate and also reassure investors in terms of protecting their property rights, intellectual property, as well as the quicker registration of businesses and facilitation. So that in itself, from that aspect, we are quite, I think we are number 2 in Africa the last time I checked, after Mauritius, in terms of how quick you can register a business in Namibia and get going. And then the political climate, we've been independent for about 34 years now. And since then, we've had smooth transition of leaders from, after their terms finished, no one has stayed in power beyond what they would have, stayed. So we are cognizant that we have only the ruling party that has been in power since independence, but that ruling party has also allowed its democratic processes to work, in that they have, a structure where you do succession. So politically, we are mature. We did experience the passing of our late president, Dr. Hage Geingob, and the vice president took over, and yet today we continue. And so to reassure the investors or whoever wants to do business in Namibia, politically, I think we are one of those countries in Africa that is not worried about instability. We do have elections coming up on the 27th of November. We expect that there will be a smooth transition of power, and no disruptions like in Mozambique. So in political stability, I think I would rate Namibia to be quite high up there on the African continent.